Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. We're going to be going through some solid strategies and tactics that can add that extra couple $100K a month you need to crack $1 million months or to add that next million a month to what you're currently doing. Sometimes along the way you get stuck. Let me also pepper this in real quick. This is all hypothetical scenarios and this is all for education and entertainment purposes. By no means are there implied earnings claims. I'm not sitting here saying you're going to watch this video and tack on an extra couple $100K a month. These are just some lessons from people that we've been there, done that with, that I'm passing down to you in this video. That's all we talk about on this channel is hitting $1 million months. By no means are there implied earnings claims or earning potential here for you sitting watching this video, especially you. I mean, what the fuck are the odds you watch a video like this and go out there and make a couple $100 extra a month? Probably extremely fucking low, right? So again, no earnings claims, no earnings potential, just lessons from things that have coincidentally produced that result in other people that have had completely different circumstances than you that have therefore produced results from taking these specific actions. So again, no earnings claims applied to you in this here video. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Got the Big Daddy rolls behind us today with the bloody guts. I cracked the rim the other day driving through a construction site in good old Miami, Florida. Got it fixed, got it back earlier today and figured, hey, fuck it, let's go film a video with it in the background for today's pressing issue, which are the top lessons that we've seen time and time again that have done really well at helping a business push up when it hits a ceiling. Circumstantially, when you potentially find yourself on this video, obviously you should already be doing a couple $100 a month, or you should be at that $1 million a month already looking to tack on the next $1 million a month with lessons like these. Generally not applicable if you're in any way, shape, or form below that revenue threshold. So just bounce off this video to one of those little guys that teaches you how to hit your first $100K a month if you're in that bucket. Back to talking to the big dogs. Moral of the story is, generally you find yourself with some kind of cap or ceiling that you've just ran square into. It's very important to point out you don't know what you don't know. You might have hit that specific ceiling and concluded to the fact that what you've done is no longer scalable beyond the point that you've already taken it to. And I just want to start by saying that's not a good worldview to have. Don't be conclusive about that type of mindset. Although I'm going to talk to you about different things you could do, and you're likely seeking different things you could do as a result of that frame, always maintain the frame that what you're currently doing can be scaled up further. You might just not know what to do to scale it past whatever level you've currently taken it to. When I go out here in good old Miami on a walk in this park across the street, sometimes I'm blessed with the opportunity to see literal mega yachts that are a couple $100 million. And all I think to myself when I see them is, this guy figured out some shit that I simply don't know yet. And he's managed to take those things that he figured out and apply them at scale. It's the same thing here. If you hit a ceiling with your DM campaign, your ad funnel, your organic shit you got going on, don't conclude to the fact that is capped at whatever ceiling you've smacked into. Just like you educating yourself to this point to get to this level, it takes new education to get to the next level too. But to be fair, sometimes things do have a literal ceiling. And so if that is the case, if you have tried many things, if you've gone through the process of attempting change and scale and you genuinely believe you hit a ceiling, here's some things you could do. Number one, sometimes it's as simple as launching a new funnel, right? Sometimes literally all you got to do is, instead of just running a call funnel, introduce a webinar. Instead of just doing DM ads, introduce a call funnel, introduce a webinar. Sometimes you need a lump sum play. Sometimes you got to do something like a challenge funnel, something more significant. Sometimes you need to develop some low ticket products, especially when you're doing cold paid advertising or you're potentially dealing with higher skepticism inside of your ideal target market. The point I'm attempting to make is, people generally only convert on things that are preferential ways for them to buy. So if you've scaled to a particular point with a specific audience and a specific combination of messaging to that audience, you have to look at those three variables and how they play into what you're doing. So simply put, to kind of visualize it for you, you have the messaging that you've used. These would be like your hook. You have your funnels. This is as an example, like the call funnel, the DM ads, the challenge funnel, the webinars, the low ticket to high ticket, etc. Whatever you're currently doing, lead forms. And then over here, you also got the actual ad channels. You've got the ways that you're actively communicating to these people. Like sometimes people scale up just organic on a specific channel like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. And then you milk it to a specific extent, and then bam, you just hit a ceiling. You could easily add another channel. You might be able to roll into paid if you're only doing organic, or vice versa. But I want to be clear when I say this, and this is really important you understand, it's kind of sub point of point number one. You always, when you're in this situation specifically, you always want to bias towards high impact short-term action. This is really important you understand why. Short-term actions create revenue now, right? And that's likely what you're seeking in this case. You want something that can have an impact right away. why? You likely are gonna have to develop a few things. Like if you're uncomfortable doing webinars, you're likely gonna need to study some webinars. You're likely gonna need to get into programs like what I offer down with these links in the description, where I have my 70+ page mastering webinars SOP with webinar examples and exactly how to do these webinars, right? There's all kinds of things that you can go out there and study, but I wanna be clear when I say this, don't have this like molasses turtle fucking movement to take an action on the new thing. We had a guy the other day, he got stuck at around 3 mil a month. Okay, and it was all call funnel revenue. And the most obvious thing that the guy could do was just adding a new funnel in. It was so clear. He tested so many different audiences. He had tested so many different sets of messaging. He even rolled out across many different ad channels, both paid and organic. He kind of just milked it for what it was worth. Sure, there was still some scale potential to it, but he had hit a ceiling for a fair bit of time. Most obvious thing in this guy's case was, well, look at everything you're not doing. Like, look at a webinar, look at a challenge funnel, look at low ticket to high ticket, and then consider, okay, out of all these things, what do you specifically bias towards being easier than the others? That's an example of what I mean by bias towards the thing that has high impact in a short duration of time. Whatever you view as like complex and hard to execute and challenging, and it's just gonna take a lot of fucking time and effort to do, that's what you're gonna consider more of the long-term thing. And as a result of that, it's obviously not gonna have any short-term impact on you and help you tack on that extra couple $100K a month you need to hit that next revenue target. You gotta have something that you can do consistently. That's the other ideal variable here is, as an example, with a challenge funnel, as much as I like them, they take a lot of fucking time and effort. Like, they're tough to be able to do repeatedly. You gotta have them every quarter at most. We have our biggest clients doing like twice a year. They are fucking exhausting. It's not something that's consistent. So even though it can be something you might view as your prerogative, easy to do, something that you might bias towards, just remember, it's not necessarily consistent. You can't do it at a high frequency. We have a client right now. This might sound insane to be clear, but I'll explain it in a little more detail after I make this audacious statement. He's doing 4 live webinars a week, okay? The guy's got 2 different offers. He was already doing twice a week webinars with one of the offers successfully. And as a result of that, we were like, look, I know this might sound ridiculous, but like, why not do 2 webinars a week for the other one too? And he was like, yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of convincing there that was necessary by looking at the dollar value per hour that was earned on average and being able to justify the execution of it to the guy. Because let's be honest, you don't want to, when you're making a bunch of fucking internet money or real business money, you're not really looking for something that's going to take an exhausting amount of time and effort. You're looking for something that's repeatable, efficient. Look, I get it. We work with busy rich people for a living. I'm not trying to exhaust you of your most important resource of time. But again, 4 webinars a week for this guy was netting a couple $100,000 per webinar. It made perfect sense to just do something as simple as, let's introduce a second webinar twice a week for this other offer that you got. And we were doing cold audiences as a key caveat to that strategy if you so choose to take on the challenge of doing 4 webinars a week. It was all cold traffic. People that were in the warm audience were excluded from these campaigns. Very important you understand that, because that becomes what allows that to happen at that scale of 4 times a week, to be clear. That would never be something you do with a warm audience and or organic audience, etc. You got to do it to cold. So anyway, point I'm trying to make, it's got to be something consistent. So like webinars are consistent. You could do them once a week to start. You could do them once every other week. Just remember, the more you do it, the more iteration cycles you have, the more you can improve it, the better the impact and revenue can be as a result, which means you're going to have a far greater time being able to actually get that couple $100,000 extra a month that you're looking for to hit those $1 million months or tack on that next $1 million a month. I'm also a huge fan in these examples of low ticket to high ticket ascension funnels. So if I have something that I could sell, I'll give you a perfect example for one of my offers that we've historically done this with. I'm very known, maybe not to you, depending on your awareness of me, for these content ad strategies. From the very beginning of my marketing career, I worked with a guy who had a fuckload of content. And I had initially been hired to do a lot of email marketing for this gentleman. And as a result of that, I was very well versed in if this, then that logic. And one day I found myself in the Facebook audiences section, and I saw that in the ads manager, I could create audiences for video view thresholds. And my brain at the time was conditioned to think if this, then that. So if somebody watched this amount of content, then I could show them more content, and then I could show them direct response ads, and then I could show them more content. I just created a bunch of contextual paths that I wanted people to travel down relative to where they were at in our customer journey. And as a result of that, over the years, that's paid off for me tremendously well in a lot of the deals that we've worked with and students I've had, teaching them all of these content ad strategies that I've developed over the years. The point I'm trying to make is, as an example of a low ticket product I can easily break out from my main products that you can find links for down in the description, I could easily sell you on the fact that maybe you spend like $100 or $200 on a digital PDF chock full of a handful of my content first ad strategies. You'd likely buy that, and as a result of that, you'd express interest to us that you clearly want to use them, and we're gonna reach out to you about that. We're gonna talk to you about the use case that you have for it. We're gonna talk to you and make sure that you actually implement them successfully. Maybe we'll have our sales guys shoot you over a handful of videos that are unlisted on YouTube that are through our value dense follow-up sequence, where we give you even more value about how to execute these strategies, or maybe that acts as one of our upsells in the process. The point I'm trying to make is as a result of you spending a couple $100, our sales team has an extremely clear signal with that type of individual where they can look at that person and say, well, I bet this individual could have a lot of benefit from all our other programs, but they get a taste of something first. Right now, as an example, as you'll see down in the links in the description, we have these application call funnels for all our offers, whether it be the inner circle where we do our twice a month one-on-one calls, weekly group calls, quarterly in-person masterminds, our group chat full of rich people that are all trying to get a fuckload richer. We just recently, by the way, this is actually kind of crazy, we had 4 people doing more than $1 million a month already that joined into the group at that level. We're at 21 people now in that fucker doing more than $1 million a month, which is awesome. Average person joins in to disclose at around 200 to 300K a month. Or whether it be for my master internet marketing program, 7-week live class, you purchase while we're not doing a live class, you get immediate access to the past classes recordings. But again, my point is like those links down in the description, our lowest ticket product in that example is $5,000 currently. The other one is thousands of dollars a month, right? And so the point I'm trying to make is like I miss out on an entire demographic of people that I could otherwise easily convert if I just had a different way for them to buy, something that's more preferential for them. I believe in my world that YouTube acts as that. You guys get a tremendous amount of value from my channel if you've consumed a handful of my videos, and if you haven't, you'll see that yourself as time goes on as you sit here and go through and watch more of my content. We'll work you up to the point where you feel comfortable to make that type of initial purchase with us. But I can't stress it enough, there's still always gonna be a chunk of people that if I sold something lower ticket first and demonstrated to them the point that I always make, I constantly sit here and say, I hold back 90% of the shit that I could sit here and tell you about for my paid programs. That way when you join into them, you have that wow factor where you're like, holy shit, this is insane. I've never had a program like this that I've purchased online. Right? But again, I could prove that to the people that operate with a higher level of skepticism by selling something low ticket first. Okay? And sometimes it's that same way for when you're only doing a call funnel with a webinar, right? Webinars are an opportunity for people to have a longer duration of time with you, be able to have you teach them things, frame them better, spend that additional time with you, and hear it from you directly rather than from your salespeople or from you in a VSL. Some opportunity to be able to ask you some specific questions, you directly, and hear it from your mouth. That sometimes has tremendous effectiveness. My point being, an alternative funnel that you introduce into your process, that in almost all instances, and the reason I sit here and harp on it as the #1 point, can have insane impact on your revenue potential when you get stuck with something else, okay? Point #2, a little more nuanced as it relates to whatever you've currently scaled up and gotten stuck with. Generally, a new channel is what can create a good chunk of additional revenue. And this could be an additional ad channel. This could be going from organic to paid. This could be also taking what you're doing organically and rolling it out on another channel. In some instances, like let me give you an example of this so you understand this a little better. I do quite well with YouTube. It warms people up, generates a fair bit of revenue for us, brings in all kinds of people for us, whether it be agency deals, inner circle members, master internet marketing students. We get a pretty wide range of people that sit here and watch all this stuff. The point I'm trying to make is as an amplification strategy, right? It's like I don't want to necessarily classify this as its own point. I want to classify this as like a sub point under this, which is amplification, right, can sometimes be the benefactor to what scales you beyond a specific ceiling. So as I sit here and I yap on my own YouTube channel, sure, YouTube helps me distribute my content in the discovery feeds, in the suggested video feeds, potentially word of mouth is how you may have found me, who knows? But my point being, I have a higher probability to reach more people on this channel beyond what those 2 or 3 different variables are gonna do for me that are built into the platform solely by going onto other people's channels. So just recently I went on a little podcast run. I only did 3 podcasts. I did it in the month of June. As a result of that, I saw the largest month-over-month subscriber growth. I saw the largest month-over-month video view growth. I also, in addition to that, saw the largest month-over-month application rate coming specifically from YouTube as a channel. And I can't stress it enough. Sometimes, as an example, like I could sit here and I could consider, okay, I could amplify the amount of videos that I have. I could spend money to distribute these videos as well, which is something we'll talk about here shortly. And or I could also amplify viewership, right? And so in this case in particular, sometimes you just got to get out of your comfort zone and stop doing things the way that you're currently doing them. Let's just say you're really big on TikTok. It's like getting in front of a bunch of other people's audiences is a great way to scale your own audience. Time and time again, that's been proven over the years. Right? And I can't stress it enough. Most people, when they hit these ceilings, it almost becomes like a desperate energy, where instead of operating in this free flow state where you have your ultimate creativity, you devolve to this view of like desperation, you know? And I can't stress it enough. It's sometimes the simplest shit that you gotta do that can take that ceiling and punch it up to the next level. All right, next point I'm trying to make, pricing. I am a big fan of increasing price. Just recently on my channel, I posted a video on some exclusivity tactics. I used my inner circle as an example. I have two finite things in the inner circle that I do. Number one, one-on-one calls. And number two, the mastermind. I have a limited amount of space, right? I can't fit unlimited people into a venue. I can only fit so many folks into it. The point I'm trying to make with that is, as a result of those finite variables, as more people join into the group, I get more and more leverage to be able to continue jacking up the price. People join into that group and they do really well after they join in. We have a really high hit rate of people being able to justify staying in there for long durations of time. And my point is with that, every time that I've increased the price, all that's happened as a result is we get better quality people that join in, who make more money when they join in. And as a result of those people being more financially well off, they also have a higher probability to generate more financial return because of the risks that they can take that somebody with less money doesn't have the ability to take. So the point I'm attempting to make is very simple. Sometimes all you have to do to just rip the fucking ceiling off of what you currently do is jack the price up on it. Can't stress that enough. Of course, there's so many other tactics and strategies that I could sit here and talk about, and honestly, I'd like to rip off 12 for you. But at the end of the day, YouTube's a free channel, and you only get so much when you sit here for free. Check out some of those links down in the description. Check out all my other videos at the very least. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, and thank you so much for being here and watching this. Go get richer.